So this may be a pointless or non-pointless video, but I just want to explain to you guys how our teacher, his name is Mr. Pens, taught us how to weld in our welding class using the arc welder. He taught us using a few different arc welders, but the arc welder that I was using when I made my weld was a Lincoln Electric 220 volt, 225 amp AC welder. Yeah, it works pretty well, and the setting was on 135 amps. Welding with the 6013 electrode, and one user, Matt Mowers 101 or something like that, commented and said that how it was a really big weld. Well, pretty much what our teacher told us is that if you have a piece of metal from about here to here, you should at least use half of your electrode. So going from here to here, you should use half of your electrode. And yeah, he told us, you know, when we're doing our welds, we don't do any zigzags or swirls or U's or anything like that, or moving back and forth. What we do is we keep it in a straight line, and we go really slow, like really slow. Like I'm gonna show you guys what goes on here. Well, pretty much all right. So pretend this is the electrode holder and whatnot and whatever, right? So pretty much we're holding it like here. Strike your arc, and then you're holding it here, and I'm going to show you guys about how slow you have to go. And I'm not really holding it at the right angle, but that's just to get the pin out of the way. So we're moving about the speed he told us to move. And as you guys can see, this is really slow, but we don't have to do any moving of the torch. We can just keep it in a straight line and pretty much get it to go on. And yeah, that's how it makes such a big bead. It makes such a really nice big bead. And he told us to keep it 1/8 of an inch away from the metal. If you get too far, supposedly it gets hotter and makes your metal or your bead flat. But he wants us to have our beads where they stick up quite a bit, probably. So this is our piece of metal right here. He wants our beads sticking up probably about like that instead of like that. So he doesn't want our beads flat or anything, which is quite understandable. I actually prefer a bigger bead than a flat bead. Somebody told me that their bead was better, but their bead is really flat, meaning that the electrode was too far away from the metal. And you can know you'll know when your electrode is too far from the metal, because the welder will start making some noise. It'll be like that, pretty much, meaning that you're too far away from the metal. And you just gotta watch that. I mean, when you're putting it in the mud, or not the mud, the slag, or not even the slag, but the melted whatever. We're just gonna go with that. What happens is, you know, if you keep it down too far, you'll notice it won't make a great arc, and it'll possibly stick to the metal, which was a problem when I first started, but I quickly fixed that. So keep it about a little bit above the puddle, not too close, not too far, and if you get too close, then you'll know, because it'll stick to your metal, and your electrode will probably, you have to like yank your electrode off. So I don't even know how else to explain it. But I'm pretty sure, well, when I MIG weld, I usually go back and forth like this when I MIG weld, or do little U's like that. But that's just me. Sometimes I'll keep it in a straight line. Sometimes I won't. Just depends on what type or what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll just spot like this if I'm doing thin metal. But that's just my MIG welder. You know, it'll be way better if I was doing it with you know, with an actual professional branded MIG welder, you know, with awesome adjustments and everything for power level and everything. But yeah, so in our shop, basically what our shop consists of some of the equipment, there's just give you guys a rundown. There's about 4 brakes in there. There's an 8-foot brake, a 3-foot brake. Actually, there's 3 3-foot brakes, a roller, a bandsaw, drill press. There is what he uses to demonstrate arc welding with is a Lincoln Electric 220 volt, 250 amp AC DC arc welder, which are freaking huge, but they are good welders. But what we have in there's basically what there is let me draw this real quick. But what there is there's three how should I put this? There's basically three welding stations per booth. There's 2 booths. Each have 3 welding stations. This one on this side has all Miller arc welders, and this one on this side has all Lincoln welders. And I'm in the second booth right here. And yeah, I haven't deemed away from this booth or whatever. You know, I have faith and trust in my Lincoln Electric welder that I use. And then there's some people out here who do some things with other Miller welders. There's a few gas or Miller Mate 135 MIG welders with gas. And then there's some Miller 225 MIG welders, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they're 225. They may be, I don't know, but they're, and then I don't know. And then there's a couple 100,000 bench grinders, angle grinders from Milwaukee, 2 9-inch angle grinders, and the rest are like these 4.5-inch pieces of crap that are like 5.5 amps each that he said he paid like $500 for. There's three chop saws. What else is there in there? I don't even know. The chop saws, there's 2 Milwaukees and 1 Hitachi. And I actually brought my DeWalt in there in one class when we were doing a whole bunch of like grinding or whatever, and like every other welder sucked, or I mean every other grinder sucked except my DeWalt. You know, my DeWalt 10 amp versus 5.5. You basically got 5 more amps, and it's DeWalt. You know, but a whole bunch of hand tools and everything. I mean, this is a full blown awesome shop. You know, he's got ventilation and everything in there, and he's got it all. He's got 2 Miller spot welders. Those things are pretty awesome. I mean, what doesn't happen in there? You know, I'll try to make a video of it, but I don't know if he'll, like, give me consent to do that. But it's not like I don't take photos in there and pull my phone out anyway. But, yeah, it's a great class. Full-blown, everything. Pretty much you can do a lot of stuff in that class. You know, a whole bunch of metal stock and everything. You know, he's a good teacher. He's been doing it for about 20 years, and, you know, he's a pretty good teacher. I mean, I don't know about using the whole half of electrode for that small of a piece of metal, but, you know, whatever. I mean, it's his money. He bought $300 worth of electrodes coming out of his pocket, so I don't care. We're going to be welding with a few different, oh, and I forgot to mention that there's also a Miller TIG welder, and we're not going to be learning that this year. There's also oxyacetylene. There's a plasma cutter, and we were learning the plasma cutter today, and we're going to be making nameplates out of the plasma cutter, so that's pretty awesome. He was giving us a demonstration. It's a Miller plasma cutter. It's a Miller 135. I don't even know. But it's an awesome plasma cutter. I mean, any plasma cutter is pretty cool. He's got oxyacetylene. You know, he's got it all in there. So there's not much that is in there. I really want to get you guys a video of the shop, just so you guys can see what goes on and what's in there. I mean, because it's pretty awesome. It's like a full-blown shop, so it's a great shop, you know. So, yeah, that's pretty much what goes on. He's got a whole bunch of electrodes, 6013, a whole bunch of other electrodes. But, yeah, it's just, 6013, which is an all-around great electrode to use. So, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, Matt Motors. I thought it was Mowers. Motors 101. So, yeah.